There are so many skills in Horizon Forbidden West, it can be hard to know where to start or what's even worth investing in. So today I'm going to make this process easier for you so you can have the skills that kills. Let's go. Your job is to put in the comment section your favorite skill and the reason why, so we can all help each other out and find the best skills in the game. So let's talk first about how to get skills quickly. There are 6 different skill trees that each specialize in one specific thing, and you cannot respec in Horizon Forbidden West. However, you can get every skill in the game just by doing a lot of the content. And the best way to get these skill points is really by doing side quests. You get a nice XP reward at the end of a side quest, but the main thing here is you usually get 2 skill points just for doing a side quest. So wherever you pick these up, make sure you're doing them to get these free skill points that you can then spend without even actually really needing to do anything. Some of these side quests are pretty short, some of them are about half hour or so long, but definitely well worth doing. Now let's get into the skills. We're going to start with the warrior line, and what I'm going to do for each of these is tell you what the skill tree is and give you about 3 skills that I reckon are more or less the best in that line. And I'm trying to keep these relatively general because I don't want to go too deep into like specific types of play styles. I want to keep it pretty broad and just give you the skills that will benefit anyone who's just playing the game, and then you can specialize into your specific tree that you want to go deep in, and these are just ones that you should pick up in every tree, if that makes sense. So with the warrior line, we're focusing here on close quarters combat melee attacks with Aloy's spear and the warrior bows. First thing you should pick up is the resonator blast. It's the very first skill, so obviously you have to pick it up, but after building up energy with melee attacks, you can press R2 to energize the enemy and then pull out your bow and shoot that target for a huge burst of damage. This will kill most enemies straight up. It's just well worth having. And generally after this, you want to pick up some of the active skills, whether that be the Nora warrior or the block breaker. There's others later on like the destroyer and spinning scythe, but basically you want to pick up either or both of these so you've got a melee combo to execute, and these will help break guard from the human enemies that you're fighting, as well as knock off components for them and just deal general large amounts of damage. The next you want to pick up is melee damage, and this is a passive boost that will just give you more raw damage, and further down the line you can buff this even more. Let's talk the trapper, and this skill tree is all about traps and rope casters and trip casters. Probably one of the weaker skill trees as a whole, but there is definitely some well worth skills picking up in this line. And the first is the quick trapper, and basically what this does is it allows you to place traps on the field quicker, which is perfect for when you're stealthing and trying to set up traps in the way of machines. Next is trap limit, and this is again a passive boost which will allow you to place more traps and tripwires on the field at the same time. Very beneficial to have so you can have more traps on the field. Next is quick wire, and this is a weapon technique for the trip caster, which I know we're not specializing in anything, but this makes the trip caster a much more versatile weapon because you can just throw out a pre-set up trap by using this weapon technique. So this means that even if you're not playing as like a trapper style and setting up traps, even in the middle of combat you can just throw out a trap that's already set up, or you can even just do this rather than having to set it up manually, and it just makes that process much easier. Next we have the hunter, and the hunter's main focus is on ranged combat, as well as the hunter bows, which is the standard bow you're probably going to use through most of your playthrough, and the bolt blasters, which you won't get until a little bit later. This is one of the best skill trees to invest in. There are so many valuable skills here that benefit you even if you're not playing as a hunter bow user. First, we're going to pick up concentration, and this will increase your concentration limit, prolonging the use so you can keep that slow-mo effect for much longer, as well as deep concentration so that the concentration depletes more slowly, allowing you to use it for even longer. Next is ammo expert, and everyone should be picking up this skill. It allows you to craft more ammunition for the same amount of resource. There's also a workbench expert, which does the same thing, except you have to be at a workbench, but this one is so much more beneficial because most of the time you're going to be crafting on the fly, and this goes across all of your ammunition types, not just your hunter bows and bolt blasters. And the last one to pick up is for the hunter bow, and that's triple notch, and this is a weapon technique that allows you to load 3 arrows of your selected type at a time, and you can fire them all at once. And this was one of the best skills in Zero Dawn, and I feel like it's one of the best skills here in Forbidden West, especially because you start off with a hunter bow. You're probably going to be using a hunter bow through most of your playthrough, more or less to some degree, so it's well worth picking up this weapon technique so you can fire 3 arrows at once. Whether they're elemental arrows, you'll do more elemental damage, or even just tear damage to try and tear off components from machines. Just well worth having. Next is the survivor line, and the skill tree here focuses on Aloy's ability to heal and gather materials and craft useful things. They are also beneficial for the blast sling and the shredder gauntlet weapon types. The first skill here is Potent Medicine, and this is a passive that increases the amount of healing that your medicines will give you, and they'll also heal you faster. Next is Medicine Capacity, which is another passive which allows you to carry more medicinal berries in your medicine pouch. And the last one is way down the line, but it's well worth getting once you do get there, and that's Plant Forager, which will allow you to gather more resources from plants that you find throughout the world. The Infiltrator skill line focuses on stealth and your silent strikes, as well as the sharp shot bows, which are kind of like snipers, but bows. What you want to pick up here is Silent Strike Plus, which is a passive that will deal more damage for your silent strikes, as well as the stealth ranged and stealth tear damages. This will increase your impact damage and stealth tear damage, as well as quiet movement and low profile. Both of these skills will just improve your general effectiveness when stealthy. Low profile reduces your visibility to enemies, and quiet movement allows you to move more quietly, reducing the chances of being detected. And I would recommend to pick up Double Notch for the same reason that we're picking up Triple Notch in the Hunter line. If you're using a sharp shot bow, it allows you to load a second arrow, so you get 2 for the price of 1, and the sharp shot bows do a decent amount of damage from range. You can get that second arrow in and just rain death upon the enemies. And lucky last is the Machine Master, and this skill tree is for overriding machines and their effectiveness when they are overridden. It also buffs your spike thrower weapons. First one we're going to pick up is Lasting Override, which increases the amount of time a machine remains overridden. There's also a further buff to this further down the line. Most of the skills here generally focus on overridden machines, whether that be increasing their damage, their health, their defense, or something along those lines. It's really up to you if you want to pick these up if you're really focusing on using overridden machines in combat. But for the most part, any encounter that has machines, like with actual story or side content, you can't override those machines because they've already been overridden by enemies. However, if you are investing in this line, I do recommend to pick up Override subroutines. This can be used for your mounts as well. This is an active skill that will allow you to set whether that machine is aggressive or defensive. So what that means is if it's in defensive, it'll only attack if it's being attacked, and if it's aggressive, it'll just attack anything on sight. I also highly recommend to pick up Spike Trap, which is a weapon technique for a spike thrower. You can get a spike thrower very early on in a side quest in the chain scrape area, and basically what this will allow you to do is set an additional trap on the ground as a spike thrower. You know, it'll just throw that spike and it'll sit there, the trap will arm, and it'll just act as a normal trap. The benefit here though is that this doesn't count towards your trap limit. So if your trap limit is 3, you can have 3 traps down and then use the spike trap with the spike thrower to have even more traps down. So there's really good synergy with this, with the trapper line. It's just worth pointing out. Whew, now that's a lot of skill trees, so which one should you focus on first? And generally what I would suggest is to focus on a skill tree or specialize in a skill tree based on your playstyle. So if you like being a hunter from range, go hunter. If you like being stealthy, then infiltrator, maybe put in some points into traps so you can use those traps while being stealthy. Or if you just want to go raw in melee, that sounds dirtier than I wanted it to, but if you want to just melee things, then go the warrior line. It's really up to your playstyle, and I would recommend to specialize in one specific line initially, so you can get the Valor Surge and then get some of the skills that are much further down the line that will really benefit you in the early stages of the game, and then you can branch out from there and get the other skills that you want to pick up. Check out my Horizon Forbidden West tips video, which goes through some great tips for you for playing this game. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.